Hello, everyone. This is Aaron at PowerPopaholic.com. I have the great pleasure of talking with Adam Levy of the Honeydogs. He has a new album out with his band, the Honeydogs, called Algebra for Broken Hearts. How are you doing today, Adam?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, man?
Great. I just have to let you know that I have been a big Honeydogs fan for a long, long time. And I'll tell you a story. Back in 1998 or something, I ended up going to a record store and found, the band's first album, on in a discount bin. And I picked it up and I said, well, I'll give it a shot. And I heard, rumor has it. And I said, how come these guys aren't the biggest thing in the country? Amazing. That song just hooked me, and I've been listening to your music ever since. I've just been very impressed with just the way you put together your albums, the lyrical content, as well as the composition. The composition is just masterful. It's always catchy, always gets me going. And this album, which is the first album in a while that we've heard from your band, it's got a little bit more teeth to it, a little more rock, a little heavier, harder, at least for the a few of my favorite songs here. Tell me a little bit about how you guys, what happened, where you guys sort of took a break for a while and then came back to
I've been doing a lot of different projects over the years. I had a group called And the Professors, and I've been doing something called Turn, Turn, Turn. And releasing records and writing music, and just kind of gave the Honeydogs a little bit of a break for a few years. We haven't put out a record for 10 years. And somebody a couple of years ago reached out and said, hey, I really want to release your second record, Everything I Bet You, on vinyl. And I was like, cool, I'm totally down with that. And I get a call from my old bandmate Tommy, who was the original Honeydogs guitar player, who said, let's do a show to celebrate this vinyl release. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. So we did a show at First Avenue, which is a big Minneapolis club that
Nice.
we got a lot of connections with. And we had an awesome crowd. It felt amazing. My daughter got up and sang a couple songs from Everything I Bet You. It was just a kind of a marvelous night reconnecting. And Tommy hadn't played with us since like 1997.
Wow.
So getting Tommy back and playing with him was just wonderful, and it was so easy. And we'd spent so much time on the road together that playing together again just felt so natural. And a couple months after we did that show, we just started talking about the possibility of making a record. And a year later, or is it 2 years later? I think it was 2 years later, we ended up making a record.
Very
And
nice.
just kind of threw some demos to each other, got together for a couple days to learn the tunes, and then just knocked them out in 5 days.
That's great.
June of
I mean,
2024.
yeah. It's awesome. I mean, I really like a lot of the songs of this album. It's there's no what I would call filler here. It's all it's all great. The first song, Attic Brain, that rocks really hard coming right out of the gate, and then it goes into more of a country style with I Don't Want to Fight, and but Kill Switch, my favorite song on the album.
Oh,
That just like that punches it. That punches you in the face when you turn those speakers up. It's just so great. Tell me a little bit about how one thing that is interesting about your music is that I always have to look up some of the lyrics because I mean, who finds these weird names for vines that are in some of your lyrics? I mean, I had to look some of this stuff up. Where did some of the songs come from? Did they come from experience, or are you just thinking up concepts, or you have ideas of a story behind it? Like with 10,000 Years, there was like a full story behind that.
yeah. I mean, it's always different, I write based on what I see in the world, what I'm going through. some things that I write are more novel-like. A song like Tulsa or Right Just Came the Stranger are sort of character descriptions. They have a sort of storyline to them. Um, and other times I write something that's just more like a lot of different images. Algebra for Broken Hearts was inspired by mushroom tripping, like all of the textural images and
Hmm.
astronomical stuff and art references. They're all kind of based on things that I was seeing. So it's just like, it just depends. I'm always looking for new ways to write music, and I never want to write the same song again.
Very good. I really liked the title track, Algebra for Broken Hearts. It's just very poetic. But tell me, what is the guitar you used for that? Because that opening chord
Mm.
is just, it's almost like a 12 string with a bass.
Yeah, no, you got it.
Oh,
It was, I think I start that song with a six string that's in a C tuning, so it's just really big sounding.
right.
Jimmy Page used those open C tunings on a lot of songs on their early records. And so I did that, and I also kind of put a 12 string also tuned to a C tuning on there. So it just sounds really big. And, I love, Fairport Convention, Richard Thompson, and Nick Drake chords, and Bert Jansch, all of these guys from the English Revival. Guys were basically interpreting American music through the lens of like English folk music. It's just always
Nice.
been kind of intriguing to me. So yeah, that's what that sounds all about.
Cool. And I also like, Righteous Came a Stranger. It has like I hear echoes of John Fogerty there with a little bit of the rhythm. It's very catchy, but it's also very what I would call epic sounding, like Tulsa. Very big epic sound that comes out in the recording and everything. And but there are some songs that I just couldn't figure out. Like Orange 8, I have no idea what that song's about. Is that another stream of consciousness thing?
No, I was hospitalized for a
Ah,
while. I wasn't doing very well a few years ago. And I couldn't have anything that could hurt me in this hospital for the 72 hours. And I just begged and pleaded for them to give me a guitar. And after much uh, complaining and begging, they finally tracked a guitar down for me. I was staying in a unit at the county hospital called Orange 8. And so here I'm stuck in Orange 8, and I reference Lakshmi, which is the Hindu god that basically makes you
yes.
do everything over and over again in your life until you figure out what you've done wrong so you can change. And so that's sort of talking about that. Like I was suffering from mental health issues that had a lot to do with patterns, that I'd been living with my whole life. The lyrics in that song are basically me looking at the newspaper and looking at like the world around me is crazy shit is going down. And
Yeah.
here I am in this padded room, removed from everything because I got to figure out who I am.
Wow, that's great. That's really deep. I've got to listen to that thing again and pay attention a little bit closer. That's awesome. Tell me also a little bit about the song "Irish Goodbye," which is, I think, one of the singles that you're putting out first, and it's also very catchy. Great song. Doesn't have much of an Irish sound. I don't hear Gaelic in it, but
No,
yeah. But tell me a little bit about that song, how that song came about.
I mean, that song is a song about compulsions, obsessions, and how they sort of take control of your life. And I kind of like anthropomorphized those things into a person, a female character who's kind of seducing me.
Right.
And um, and that I basically give this thing everything I own. And what do I get in return? I get an Irish goodbye, which, if you don't know that expression, an Irish goodbye is basically like a quiet
Quiet
disappearing. You
leaving.
don't
Yeah.
really
If
say
you're in the
goodbye.
party and you don't want to say goodbye to anyone, you just want to sort
Right.
of slip away. That's the Irish goodbye right there.
Exactly. And that was kind of the metaphor that I had for addiction, which it has no responsibilities to you whatsoever. It just takes.
Mm. So tell me a little bit about where you sort of how you sort of categorize yourself. Even though I don't consider you in any particular category, I don't really consider you alt country because, I mean, you maybe have a little bit of country on the edges, but you're more of a rock and roll band to me. A little bit of power pop in there as well. Do you consciously go in there saying, "All right, I'm gonna make this song sound more country by adding some, steel pedal guitar and maybe more of a country rhythm," or do you consciously say, "You know what, I want this to be a heavy rock song, and I'm gonna, you know, forego all those accoutrements"?
I would say I probably write most of my songs with a sort of template. Like, I'd really like to write a song that's in a particular genre or rhythmic feel, and then I'll sort of build it from there. Sometimes I'll write something and I'll go, you know what, this will be great for Turn, Turn, Turn. It's a song that would be awesome with two female voices, and it would sound great with like a 12-string electric and kind of a psychedelic country thing. Other times there might be something that's really acoustic and just extremely personal that feels like it should be a solo song. And it just depends, but I tend to work really well when I'm thinking like, what am I writing for? What is this batch of material? I think this record that we put out, they were songs that were intended for different places, but I think they sound different with the four-piece playing them. They would have a couple of them could have ended up as turn, turn, turn songs, and I'm
Right.
glad they didn't because I just love how four people who spent thousands of hours playing shows together who really didn't have any reference point for these songs. Like, they didn't have a long time to sit on them. I basically just brought them in, or Tommy in his case brought in a couple tunes too, and we
Right.
just learned them quickly and pretty much recorded those initial ideas that we had. And to me, like, I love recording and playing with bands like that when you're just totally on your toes and it's really concentrated and you're doing things in a short period of time. It just demands that people are really like on their best. And in this case, like Noah, Trent, Tommy are just so sensitive to the song, without trying to muscle and show off or anything. They're sort of thinking about, what is this song about? What do I need to do to like make this song as catchy and interesting as possible?
No, that's great. It also allows you to basically capture any of the spontaneity that comes with that, when you're putting that together. This way you don't have time to overanalyze things, which a lot
Yeah.
of bands tend to do sometimes when they're trying to quote write something that is a quote hit. I don't consider, I consider a lot of the stuff you write just naturally good, naturally catchy. You sort of have it, that worm in your brain that just allows you to write things that are, that are just appealing to everyone, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't want to finish. I really don't finish a lot of music that I don't feel I'd want to listen to. Sometimes there's things that I just like feel like I gotta finish it, but most of the time, things just kind of don't see the light of day unless it feels like something that I'm gonna fall in love with.
Sounds like a lot of good musicians do that, and that's why they have like, vaults of snippets everywhere.
Yeah, and I suppose because of the pandemic and the amount of time I was writing, I still have a lot of material, and some of it's ending up on the next Turn 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 record, which will probably come out. They're much more country,
Mhm.
um, but and then there's other stuff that'll probably be on a solo record at some point.
Very good.
Um, I like the the way we did this record, just because everything sort of holds together, even though there might be some stylistic uh, variation, it sort of feels kind of cohesive, including Tommy's songs that he wrote. Everything feels like it sits really nicely together. There was stuff we started to work on in the studio that just felt a little too ambitious. I spent a lot of time recording 10,000 Years. That was
Yeah.
a labor of love that was, it could have been a solo Adam Levy record in a lot of ways. And I spent a lot of hours perfecting this thing. And this is not the case with Algebra for Broken Hearts. It's a much
Right.
more sort of loose Polaroid photo rather than a documentary about making a record.
Right, right. No, it's excellent, and I encourage everyone to listen to it and check it out. It's releasing soon. Adam, thank you so much for talking with me. I appreciate everything you do, all the music that you make. Please don't wait another 10 years to do another Honeydogs album if possible. I'd love to hear more.
Right on. Well, Aaron, thanks for having me.
All right, cool.
Lord.
Thanks so
Look at the
much.
collection of Les Pauls you got behind you. Wow. So you got
Yeah,
your own studio set up. That's magnificent there.
yeah. It's just a photo.
It's just a photo? Oh,
It's just a
okay.
photo background.
Wow, dude's like totally set up.
Yeah, well, I want to make musicians feel at home.
I mean, Les Paul, there's nothing to make you feel at home like a Les Paul.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks so much, Adam. Appreciate the time, and we look forward to listening to more of your music over the years. So keep on rocking, man.
Will do, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya.